like a new ride.
You know, I would have called my friend the haha comedy guy to come in here, but even he would be smart enough to stay away from a movie like this. Welcome to Time About the Movies, everybody. Today we are taking a look at the six films making up April 17th, 2015, and we're starting off with the biggest new release of the weekend, which is, sadly, Paul Blart Mall Cop 2. I mean, it's been 6 years after the last movie. Did anybody give a shit about Paul Blart to come back and see this film? Not really. It didn't. I mean, it did well, but then again, it's a very small budgeted movie. But at the same time, do you remember anybody that said that this movie was great? No, of course you don't. Nobody did. So in Paul Blart Mall Cop 2, Kevin James is back as mall security guard Paul Blart, who is invited to a security officers convention in Las Vegas and must stop a heist at the Wynn Las Vegas Hotel. You can already tell this movie is bullshit from the fact that A, there is no such thing as a security officers convention, so this probably means that this is a trap by the villain, played by Neil McDonough, and 2, the movie literally begins with Paul Blart reeling over the fact that he was divorced from his wife, Jayma May, 6 days into their marriage. After everything that he did for her in the first movie, she's just like, I just realized you're a mall cop who's annoying. Yeah, this isn't going to work out for me. And then his mother gets killed after being hit by a milk truck. Like, I mean, this movie is, that's the least of the film's problems, but the rest of the movie itself is just, what do I even need to say about a movie like this? I mean, this is literally nothing but watching Kevin James getting made fun of for his obesity, getting the stupid Segway gags again, running into windows, sliding when he's not going all the way through because he's a fat guy. And it's just like, there is nothing creative at all about this movie. The jokes aren't funny. This cast is completely wasted on this movie. There is nothing funny about this whatsoever. This makes a movie like Deuce Bigalow, European Gigolo, look like a masterpiece by comparison. If I have to say that this is better than Deuce Bigalow, European Gigolo, we have a goddamn problem here. I mean, this is literally just them not trying at all. There is no effort put into this whatsoever. It's bad. It's terrible. Do I even need to say anything more about this? I want to go on and move on to some much better movies. If I can, thank you very much. So there you go. Paul Blart Mall Cop 2. $40 million went to this movie, everybody. Hope it was worth it. But anyway, let's go ahead and move on to some good movies. At least one good movie that we have so far, and that is Unfriended.
Unfriended, rated R.
The funny thing about this movie is that when the trailers were coming out for it, most people had the same reaction. Oh, here we go again. It's another one of these found footage movies, and this time it's all over the internet, so it makes it even cheaper to make. And yeah, this is a $1 million budgeted movie, and yeah, the stars in this movie are not the biggest ones. I mean, the biggest name in here is Renee Olstead, and she was in Still Standing. And I think the other one probably is Moses Storm. Maybe, because that's a name that sounds familiar. I mean, he was actually a stand-up comedian before having worked on Last Comic Standing and also Conan O'Brien's show, and he was also on Arrested Development too. So, I mean, even then, these aren't big names involved in this movie. So, yeah, on the one hand, yeah, it's a film where it can easily get what it needs to get done because the budget is so small, and yeah, it could look cheap, but you know what? If you could do something new and creative with it, there you go. There's a film that does it for you. 6 high school students in a Skype conversation are haunted by a student played by Heather Sossaman who was bullied by them and killed herself. And the film is told entirely through a screencast of a MacBook. And yeah, as you see in the trailer, you see them all doing Skype and all that, and then all of a sudden you see this other person coming into the play here, and there's this whole conspiracy about whether or not it's actually her, the girl that got killed, or somebody else who could be related to her. And overall, the film does a very good job of building the tension up here and doing a pretty good job of keeping you invested throughout the film. You do get attached to these characters overall. You do get attached to them when they are in these situations. Their secrets get revealed. There's a couple of secrets get revealed, like they were sleeping around with somebody because of this thing. And you're trying to figure out, is this actually her, or is this some kind of evil entity? And it's a very good movie that does keep you invested overall. And it's one of those big surprises that doesn't really... Like I said, it was a trailer that a lot of people looked at and said, oh, well, this is going to suck. But then you watch it's just like, there's actually some effort being put into this, and I gotta give them credit where credit is due. It's a very good film. It's not a great movie, but you know what? Considering the fact that this is a film that could have easily have been another Devil Inside, where it's just like, well, we could tell you what's actually going on, but we want you to go to this website that doesn't exist anymore to find out more details on that. No, this doesn't do that. This film actually tries, and it does a pretty damn good job at it. It's a very effective film. It's a really engaging film. It works very well. It found a new way to do found footage films and did a pretty good job with it overall. I liked it a lot. I thought it was actually a very wonderful surprise overall. It's one you should definitely check out if you haven't seen it. Unfriended. So with that said, let's go ahead and move on to our next movie, and that is Disney Nature's latest film, Monkey Kingdom.
Nature invites you to meet Maya and her newborn Kip. They're playful and adventurous.
I don't give a fuck. I mean, let's be honest. Most people that go to these Disney Nature movies really do not care about the storyline they're trying to build around these animals. And by this point, yeah, I think people were starting to take the hint that these movies are really not worth it in the end. But this is a nature documentary narrated by Tina Fey about a family of monkeys living in ancient ruins found in the jungles of Polonnaruwa in Sri Lanka. And this is actually the 8th nature documentary released under the label that began all the way back with Earth in 2009. And this one in particular really did kind of feel like they were kind of pushing their luck here with this one here. I mean, yeah, the animal footage is nice and all, and it does work very well, but at the same time, though, it's a film that does not leave a whole lot of a lasting impact to you. You're really only going to see this movie in a theater to donate to help to save the environment, because these go to the donations that go to the Conservation International. I thought it was a Conversation Invitational, but the Conversation International, where, we're going to save the rainforest and all that stuff. And, you put these out on Earth Day, and, yeah, they're largely forgotten shortly afterwards. And this is definitely one of the ones that it really does feel like it's largely forgettable. It's a film that's not bad, but it's just one where it's just kind of like, there's nothing really you could do to really make this stand out more than what you're trying to make it out to be. I mean, yeah, the footage is nice and all, but the story they're trying to build around it really isn't anything all that impressive. So, yeah, a mixed opinion on Monkey Kingdom. So let's go ahead and move on to our next movie, True Story, which I knew starred James Franco, but I didn't know who else starred it. But once you see it, you'll figure it out just as
I want to tell you my side of this.
I think you can trust me.
Can you trust him? Hello?
Jill,
Chris?
Mike's been a real friend to me. I just hope that we can be friends too. True Story, rated R, theaters April 17th.
Oh yeah, I forgot that Jonah Hill was in this movie. Probably not a good sign for the film itself, but it's interesting to see both of them in a more serious role here. But this is based off the memoir of the same name by Michael Finkel, who Jonah Hill plays. James Franco plays Christian Longo, a man on the FBI's most wanted list accused of murdering his wife and 3 children in Oregon. He hid in Mexico under the identity of Michael Finkel, a journalist played by Hill, and explores the relationship that develops between the two men after journalist Finkel begins to meet with Longo in person. And I mean, like I said, give a credit where credit is due. It's cool to see Jonah Hill and James Franco in a role that is not a straightforward comedy and shows that they're actually trying to bridge their acting abilities overall. And I mean, they're perfectly fine in this. Felicity Jones also is in this movie as well, of course, from Rogue One. Gretchen Mol, Betty Gilpin from Breaking Bad. So there is a solid cast involved in this movie. The biggest problem overall with it is the direction. The direction of the film. Betty Gilpin's from Glow, by the way. I said the wrong name. I'm thinking of Betsy Brandt from It's either Betsy or Betty Brandt from Breaking Bad. But yeah, this is directed by Rupert Gould. His directorial debut, and written by him and David Kashganik. And I think that's really what the problem with the movie is in general. Is that the mystery about these two people really is not that engaging. You don't really care about how James Franco did what he did for so long without Jonah Hill ever noticing, and it really does feel like they're trying to force a comedy in this when it's supposed to be taken seriously. And yeah, it becomes very forgettable almost immediately after you're done with it. Like, I barely remember the movie after I saw it just recently. Just like I couldn't even remember who the other star of this movie was. That should tell you how bad this movie, how lackluster this movie is. It's a pretty boring film in general. Yeah, not really much there to get really attached to overall. But again, it's worth it seeing Jonah Hill and James Franco do something outside of their norm. But yeah, other than that, though, there's really not enough I could say about it to say that's worth it in the end, except to just see these two doing something unique and different overall. But yeah, it's just not there for me, man. So Anyway, that is true story. So let's go ahead and move on to our next movie, and that is Child 44.
Child 44, rated R, starts April 17.
Based on the first of a trilogy of books by Tom Rob Smith and set in the Stalin era of the Soviet Union, the plot is about an idealistic pro-Stalin security officer, played by Tom Hardy, who decides to investigate a series of child murders in a country where supposedly this sort of crime doesn't exist. The state would not hear the existence of a child murderer, let alone a serial killer. He then gets demoted and exiled, but decides with just the help of his wife to continue pursuing the case. This is a cast that also includes Gary Oldman among it, as well as Numi Rapaz from The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, Jason Clarke, Vincent Cassell, Joel Kinnaman, Patty Constantine, Charles Dance. So there is good people involved in this. The writer of this is Richard Price. Richard Price is a guy who has written a ton of movies, including Martin Scorsese's Clockers, but also this is directed by Daniel Espinosa, his first film since Safe House, which I was not the biggest fan of. But this one is not that great either. I mean, yeah, this movie... It's another one of those movies, kind of like True Story, where there was a good idea involved in this with the setup, but the execution is where it really kind of falls apart. It really just falls into a generic, bland mystery thriller that you really do not get invested with whatsoever. It's kind of a snooze fest overall. And despite the fact that the actors are trying their best in this movie, when you're sitting there for over 2.5 hours trying to figure out this goddamn mystery and you don't feel like you're getting anywhere with it, there's a big, big problem here that we gotta delve into here, but... I mean, yeah, there's a good movie here, but unfortunately, a lackluster script from somebody who should know better, and Richard Price, and a director who I really am starting to realize I don't like that much. I don't really like this guy's work in general. He also did Life later on, which is a film I really thought was underwhelming. This one, yeah, it's definitely a lackluster film on so many levels. So we're kind of striking out here with only one good movie out of five that we've seen so far. But I assure you, this last one is definitely worth it. If you want to hear the story of Roar, brace yourself, because it's a doozy. I'm sorry, I don't usually laugh during these, but I'm sorry. That quote there is a perfect sum up of what this movie is. Yeah, that quote right there is probably the best way to sum up this movie, because it just looks like, it looks like an old-school Disney-style adventure until you realize that what they were doing when they were making this movie, the people behind it, yeah, they probably should not have done any of this, but the story of this is that you have Noah Marshall, the writer and director, playing a guy named Hank, who's a naturalist who lives on a nature preserve in Africa with lions, tigers, and other big cats. When his family visits him, they are instead confronted by the group of animals. It also features as real-life wife Tippi Hedren, as his real wife in the movie Melanie Griffith, Hedren's daughter in here, as well as the sons John and Jerry Marshall. This was also... the cinematography was done by John DeBont, but the biggest thing about this movie was the production history behind it. So, this thing began shooting in 1970, where the script was finished, and so they began bringing in these rescued big cats into their homes in California and living with them. Filming started in 1976 and would finish 5 years later. This thing didn't get fully completed until 11 years into production. I mean, this is a movie where... it's a film where it's just had so many problems behind the scenes. Specifically, 72 people were injured in this movie. And if you watch the trailer for this, you see the stuff that these people were getting, is the people that got injured. You see what they were in for here. Like, Noah Marshall got his hand bitten through by interacting with the male lions during a scene. There was a lot of times when he was hospitalized, when his face and chest were injured. He was diagnosed with blood poisoning. John DeBont got scalped by cherries while he was filming using a tarpaulin. He actually received 220 sutures inside of him, but he was able to put the film together. Tippi Hedren got bitten in the head by a lion. Melanie Griffith got, facial reconstruction surgery. There's so many bizarre things that happen behind the scenes of this movie. You're thinking to yourself, how in the world do you try to sell this as a family comedy? Because this thing did come out originally in 1981 in Sydney, Australia, but it took them 24 years to bring it here to the States. And the trailer I just showed you was the trailer they showed it on. They showed this movie essentially as a film where, it's a movie that's had intentions of being this wacky family comedy and then just turned into this sudden nightmare of an experience overall. This film This film is worth it just to see the chaoticness of this film, where you see the actors trying to perform this film and then just going through all of this hell with these lions and all that. Like, you should not have all these different breeds of lions in the same room, because you see the results on screen here. It's not a good movie at all. I mean, the message is there, you know, preserve the African wildlife, but when you have a film like this where 72 people were getting injured and just completely destroyed by this film, quite literally, yeah, your message kind of gets pushed off to the side here. I mean, this is an awe-inspiring movie. It's one of those films where it's just kind of like, wow. I mean, talk about a complete disaster of a production, but it's one of those things where you have to see it to just simply believe how chaotic and messy this thing is, because it definitely is so messy that I can't even talk straight. Excuse me, I burped there. Ooh, sorry. Good Lord. It's the spirit of Noah Marshall, just like, stop talking about my masterpiece. But like I said, man, it's a movie that you should watch it, not for the movie itself, but just for the way this thing comes together and knowing all the stories that behind the scenes about how all these people were getting injured. And when you see it, it's just like, oh, now I can kind of see why this was like that. I mean, that's the mesmerizing thing about this movie, is that just the production hell that this thing went through here. I mean, don't watch it as the intended wacky family comedy that was marketed as. Watch it as the movie that has one of those it's like somebody did a film version of Hearts of Darkness, except this time, you know, they shot all the stuff that was going on behind this. They shot all the stuff in an actual movie instead of just documentary footage. I mean, that's probably the best way to describe this movie. Roar is definitely something that needs to be seen to be believed. And so, with all that said, we wrap up another episode of Time About the Movies, and the next time we meet, we will take a look at the penultimate weekend before the summer season kicks off. We have Blake Lively starring in a very intriguing time travel drama, The Age of Adeline, in which Blake Lively plays a woman who survives a car crash in the 1940s or 50s, and, you know, as time goes on, everybody else ages except for her. She still remains the same person that she was when she was in this car accident. It's a very interesting film overall. We'll touch on that one. We'll talk about the much better Kevin James movie released in April of 2015. That's not saying a whole lot. The Little Boy. And then we have Russell Crowe making his directorial debut with The Water Diviner. So we'll take a look at those three movies coming up tomorrow on the show. So stay tuned for that. With all that said, though, thank you so much for watching this. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please go ahead and do me the honors of hitting that like button, that subscribe button, and that notification button. Also, don't forget to check out our playlist, and don't forget to check out the previous episode we did. With all that said, whether it's in the past, the present, or the future, I will see you at the movies. Take care.